In my last video, I showed you how to start your first catalog and set it up correctly for the first time. If you missed that video, I'll put a link up here to go and check that out. After you watch that one, come back here because then we'll talk about the next step of working in Lightroom in 2023. Now that you have your first catalog and you've got some images already imported, this is where the power of Lightroom really starts to shine. Today, I'm going to show you how to find your images in a very quick and simple way. All that coming up. Hi, I'm Terry Vanderheiden, professional photographer, here to show you how to work in Lightroom. Once you get the hang of the organization part of Lightroom, then you're on your way to learning how to process your raw images for some fantastic results. But first, you have to be able to get around in Lightroom and find the images that you've imported. So let's tackle that subject of finding your images in Lightroom in today's episode. I know that this series of videos is dedicated to Lightroom, but I have a whole bunch of other videos on landscape and wildlife photography. So if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and then ring the bell to be notified of my next video. While you're at it, if you don't mind, click the like button because that helps other photographers find my channel. I appreciate it. Also, I have more content on nature photography over at my podcast, cleverly titled The Nature Photography Podcast. It's a pure audio experience that takes you in depth on all sorts of subjects related to nature photography and landscape photography, as well as wildlife photography. You can listen to it while you're driving or working or getting out to shoot your own images. There are new episodes dropping every week or so check that out. You can find the Nature Photography Podcast on just about any of the leading podcast networks, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, etc. Just search for The Nature Photography Podcast and look for the bald eagle logo. And don't forget "the" in the title. For some reason, that's important in the search. All right, let's get to today's subject of finding your images. All right, so we've loaded all of our images into Lightroom for our first import. And now what we're going to do is sort them a little bit so we can actually find images later. So the way that I do this is you can see over here we've got catalogs on the left-hand side, catalog, and under all photographs, 244 images, that's what we have in our original set of images that we loaded in. Our previous import, 244, so we're good to go. Now what we're gonna do is we move down and there's folders. I don't use folders, so if you wanna use folders, go for it, but that's not how I'm teaching this. This is what I use as collections. So if you think of collections, so we have a catalog, which is like a Walmart store, and then a collection might be the Martha Stewart plates that are inside of Walmart. A small section, more defined of what specifically those things are. So in this case, a collection is going to be a smaller group of images that we can actually find something when we're looking for it. Okay, so here, if we look here, this is some images. It's actually a focus stack from Yosemite. So as we go through this, you can see at the bottom, I'm going through the film strip, clicking through and seeing all the different images that we have here. So there's several. We can move the thumbnails a little bit smaller so we can see everything. And these are the images that we have. So let's go ahead and start creating some collections and I'll show you how that works. We go over to collections and we're gonna make a new collection and we're gonna go create collection. We're gonna call this Yosemite. Actually, if we call it Yosemite, that would be pretty broad. So let's make a collection a little more defined. And we're going to say fall. We'll go create. And that image that we had selected went already into the collection Yosemite Fall. So let's go back up into our main set of images, all photographs. I'm going to hold the Shift key down and then click the last one in that series and then drag those over into Yosemite Fall. And you can see now that we have 24 images. So that actually, when we look at this image close up, this is actually Half Dome. So why don't we change that and we go in here, right click, go to rename this collection, and instead of fall, we're gonna call it Half Dome. All right. So now we've got Yosemite Half Dome. Let's go back up to all photographs, click grid or hit the G. And here are some more images. These are some images of Yosemite in winter. So there's 3, 4 of them. Let's select all of those. We'll create a collection, and we'll call this Yosemite Winter. And you can see here, include selected photographs. So if you leave that clicked, it's going to grab all the images you just selected, create the collection, and then put them all in the collection, which is great. And these are the 4 images in that collection. And if we wanted to see the Half Dome images, those are all the Half Dome images. So those are how we can create these images. Let's go back up to, or create collections, I should say. Here are some more images of Yosemite, and this is actually a pano, so let's go ahead and select all of those, and we'll go to collections, and we're going to create a collection, and we're going to call this Yosemite Pano. And we're going to have it select all the ones we selected, we're going to include into this collection, and boom, it creates that collection. So as you can see here, we're going to start getting lots of collections. So you kind of have to take a little bit of an effort to kind of sort these out and figure out a way that you can put those collections in file cabinets, if you will, so you can find them. So if you look over here, we can go to, when we go to create a collection, as we go down, we can go create a collection set. So let's create a collection set, and we're going to do a little more broader name with that, and we're just going to call it Yosemite. And that's kind of like a folder, a file cabinet. If you look close at it, you'll see it kind of looks like a file cabinet, one of those old file boxes. So Yosemite will reside right there. And now what we're going to do is we're going to move all of our collections into that set by just dragging them up into that set. And there we go. Oh, look at that. I misspelled Yosemite Pano. So let's go ahead in there, rename, and now we've fixed it. So we've got all of our images in here, and we've got all the ones that are from Yosemite and we've put into this collection. So let's go back up to all photographs again and just see if there's anything else that fits in the Yosemite. Doesn't appear to, so I think we're okay with that. So we've got all of our Yosemite pictures in a collection, and then those collections are in a collection set. So you can hit this little triangle and squish it down, and then you don't have as many collections that you have to view. So when you want to look at the Yosemite pictures, you can just go right into that set. So let's do another one here. We've got, this is a Cooper's hawk. So let's take a look at this Cooper's hawk, and we're going to go through and look at the images. They're all similar, but we haven't defined them yet. So let's just make a collection for the Cooper's hawk. So let's select the first one, and then we'll select the last one. And holding the shift key down selects them all. If you want to select something that's different like this one, and then you want to do a random selection, that sort of thing, in the Mac, you hold the command key down. I believe it's control key in the PC. So, but for this case, we're just going to select all of these hawk pictures, and then we're going to make a new collection, and we're going to call this Cooper's hawk. All right, and include the selected photos. And so there we have our Cooper's hawk. There's 17 images in there. So now what we got to do, when we've created a collection and now we've kind of started sorting our images to go into particular places, what we want to do is we want to have a system for trying to figure out what images are better than the other. How do we pick our favorites? So I'll show you how I do it, and you can decide if this is the way you want to go. I'll usually zoom this up, and in this case here, we've got a bird that's taking up a small amount of the frame. So I'm going to zoom it all the way up by hitting the space bar that will loop it all the way up so we can see the images close up. You can come up here and decide, oh, I want to see these at 200% or whatever it is you want to see. But in this case, we'll just leave it here at 200% and kind of go through these. And as we look at them, we can say, okay, well, that one's not very good. So let's say the first one I kind of like, so I'm going to hit the letter P, and that's going to create a flag. You can see down here, it's created a white flag. And if we come back to the grid mode, you can see that first one there has a white flag on it. Okay, that's using just the letter P on the keyboard to pick that image. So let's move on. That one's not quite so good. Oh, that one's bad. So now if you want to go in reverse and say the ones that you don't like, if you don't like something, you can hit the letter X and that'll file it as rejected. So let's take a look, and we look overall, and you can see that Lightroom has picked and given a white flag to the ones we like, but on the rejected one, it even grays it out for you. So that means Lightroom's saying, you don't like this enough to keep it. So we're going to even gray it out so you don't have to see it. Now you could conceivably go in and take all of your, I'll show you how we're going to sort these in a minute, but you could take all of your X images and delete them completely from the disk if you want. But I don't really generally do that because, you know, who cares? It's taking up a little bit of space. But if it's something that's out of focus and I feel like I want to spend the time, then I'll delete them completely. So let's move on. We're looking at these. Oh, I like that one. Hit P for pick. That one's kind of similar. Let's go back and pick that. Here he's turned his face towards us a little more. I like the look of that. Oh, look at that nicely lit side view. We're going to pick that one. Oh, he's opening his mouth a little bit. Oh, that's cool. Oh, look at that one. That's my favorite. Look at that, wide open. Not quite as much. I'm going to pick it anyway. And it looks a little mean. So that's pretty good. So let's take a look at what we got. You can see here that we've got several here that are white flagged and picked, okay? So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna sort these, and we're gonna go into, the way we do that is go up here and go to attributes. Now you gotta be in the grid mode in order to do this. So you hit the G button, go into attributes, and across the top, we have a section here. We can go any flag, or we can go flagged only. So we're gonna go flagged only and grab all of these, and we're gonna make a new collection. Pretty simple, right? Go up here to collections, and we'll go create collection, and we're gonna call this Cooper's Hawk. So if you see here, as we're typing this collection out, it says here, hey, that name's already in use. Well, of course, because we're not done. Cooper's Hawk, and then we're gonna go favorites, okay? We'll include all those photos and we'll hit create. Now a new collection has been formed with only nine images in it, and it's just the images here that are flagged. So now that they're in their own collection, we don't need this flag system anymore because we may refine it a little bit more. So let's pull this down, and now when you want to remove a flag, you hit the letter U for unpick. So the letter U unpicks those, and again, we're up here looking at this in a sorted view, so we'll take off that and go to any flag status, and you can see right here that the Cooper's Hawks, all 9 of those images of our favorites are in place, okay? So this is a way that we can narrow down our images. We went from originally 17 down to 9. So now what we want to do is we want to pick our ultimate favorites. So again, we need to zoom up here and take a look at what we're doing. And one of the things that Lightroom has is a mode that's called the compare mode. And the compare mode really helps you make a determination between which image is better than the other. So let's take a look, and I'll show you how this works. Go into the grid mode, and we'll pick the first 2 images. So you can see this one's highlighted a little bit more. That means Lightroom likes this one the best, and then this one is one that's newly highlighted, okay? So we go in here, we've got the grid mode down here. The next one is E for loop. We know that magnify it. When we've seen this one before too, this is the survey mode with the cleverly named N. So if we take 3 of these images and go to survey, then we can see all 3 of those images. But what I want to do is I want to take these images and I want to compare them head to head. So we go to the compare mode. And what's really cool is Lightroom has given it a shortcut key, the letter C. Super simple. And what's neat here is that as you hold and drag this around, you can position these to look at them. And what it does is it zooms these up to the size, identical sizes. And you can see here, you also have the process here of zooming. So we can zoom just a little bit more to really definely look at these images, okay, and decide which one we like best. Okay, this is just use the select or the candidate. So in this case, the select is going to be that one that was first selected, and it's going to be a little brighter in the selection. And let's say I like this one a little bit better. So we're going to switch this. So the way we switch is we come down here and we switch those two images. So let's click and switch them. And now the select is over here, and you can see down here that on the film strip, the selected one is now the brighter one, which is the second one, okay? So now what we're gonna do is simply find a new one to replace this candidate and use these little arrow buttons. So we click to the right, and now we've got one, the third one in line. You can see it bounced from here to here. This is our favorite selected on the left, and then this is our candidate. And I don't like it as much. It's not quite as bright, so we're gonna keep looking. And we look at the next one. His head's turned a little bit, so I don't care for that one just as much. That one looks pretty good, but his head's turned a little bit. I'm not sure I like that. Let's go. Oh, look at that one. Ah, that one's great. It's so well lit. So I'm gonna change those and make that a new favorite. So now this is the select image. You can see this one's brighter, and then this one is now slightly faded out in its selection. So as we go over to this, I want you to watch this film strip down here as I click to this right button. It will start clicking through the images that we just saw, just so you can double check that indeed this is your favorite. Okay? And now, oh, look at that. Oh, now we got something here. So I like both of these, right? So I'm gonna click this, and I'm gonna right click and hit set flag for flagged. And you can also click on it and hit the letter P button and flag it as well. So as we come out to our grid mode, we're gonna pick these two images are our favorites so far. So let's just leave those picked, and let's go into these two and take a look in the compare mode and see which one we like better. Let's zoom up. So between these two, I kind of like this one a little bit better. So let's reverse those, make that a select, and then we're gonna just flag it. So there's a couple ways to get around in here in Lightroom, so you have the ability to figure out what it is your favorite is as you're going through. So it's a pretty simple process. All you have to remember is the letter P for pick, to pick that, and then unpick if you don't like that pick. So if, for instance, if we had this one that we had chosen and we gave it a flag and we decided we didn't like that, we can just go to the U key, unpick, and take that out. So now we've got three of these that are our favorites. And the way we sort these is we go up here, we can go to none, that gives us a clean screen. We can sort by text, or we can sort attribute, and that's what we're gonna do, is sort by attribute. Come over here to these flags, right click, and say we wanna only flagged images here. So it gives us those three images that are flagged, so we can see those three images are our favorites. So what I do, even though we've got Cooper's Hawks, we've got Cooper Hawk favorites, I'm gonna create yet another collection, and I'm gonna call that Cooper Hawk Best. So those I know, and again, we're including those selected, and only selected the one, so let's go back into our favorites, go into our attribute, select all of these, and just drag them into best. So now you can see over here, we've got the original setup of the Cooper's Hawks, which were 17. Then we narrowed it down to 9, and now we've narrowed it down to 3. So these are our three favorites as we're looking at the way that Lightroom has it set up. And whenever we're in here, this is gonna be all the ones that we wanna have. So we can go in here now, since they're in their own collection, we can select all and unpick those. Okay, so now those are unpicked, they're in their own collection. These are the Cooper's Hawks Best, and now we have the ability to really zero in on these that we like. So let's do it one more time. Let's select the first one and the second one and do the compare mode and see which one of those two we like. Wow, I like those both. Let's see this last one here. That's not as good. So that's one that we're gonna toss out, that very last one. So let's go back to the grid mode, and we don't want this one, but we do like these two. And so I select those two, and you can do anything you want. You can do a pick if you want, or you can do, I'm gonna unpick that, or you can do what I do, and that is I right click and put a color on it. So I right click, come down in this, go to set color label, and I'll make it red. So that way I know that in this case, these are my favorites of the Cooper's Hawks. And now we've got these collections. So obviously, like we did before, we can go in here and we can create a collection set, and we can call these, let's go and call them Hawks, just in case we get other Hawks, so we can put in there. We'll create, and then we'll put all of these into that file set, or collection set, I guess it's called. And there we go. Now we have a very organized way of finding our images in Lightroom. And when you go in here, you can always just say, hey, let me just go right to our best images, and then you can start working on these inside of the develop module, or to take them into Photoshop, or do whatever it is you want to do. So that should give you enough information you'll need for selecting images, flagging them, color coding them, and then sorting them into collections. Collections are a great way to find particular subjects all over your entire catalog. Once your images are organized into a collection set, you should be able to find just about any image you want. On the next episode, we're going to take finding your images to a new level, and that is learning about keywords and metadata. Come back next week and join me for more Lightroom learning.